Which camp should we go to? Well, let's see. We could go to math camp. Ooh, just went out of focus. Nature camp, I think it says. Computer camp. A couple more camps. Sailing camp. You know what? Let's just go to math camp. I think that would be fun. Okay, let's do it. And let's see what's going on today at math camp. All right, let's review how to multiply and divide fractions, okay? Now, like I said, some people get real anxious when they think about fractions. You don't have to get anxious at all, okay? It's just math, and you just have to work with fractions. So it's something like this, 2/3 times 1/4. Okay, let's take a look at things like that. So here we go. I have some problems ready to go through. And so the first one indicates times. So I'm going to take 1/2 times 3/4. Well, to do that, what you do is you multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators, okay? You don't do cross products because there's no equal sign. If you're thinking of something like this, like 1/2 equals 3/4, and you've seen something like this, that's cross products. That's only when there's an equal sign. Okay, that is not the case here. This is multiplication, so it's not this at all. Okay, when we multiply numerators and multiply denominators. So 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 4 is 8, and that cannot be simplified. Remember when we did simplifying fractions? Where did that go? Oh gosh, I can't find it, but when we did simplifying fractions, we looked to see if numerator and denominator were both divisible by some number, and they're not. 3 and 8 are not divisible by a common number, so we're going to be done right there. So now we have reduced the answer fully. This cannot be reduced any further. Okay, let's try this one. Multiply the numerators. 7 times 2 is 14. 8 times 3 is 24. Now both of those are divisible by 2, so I'm going to divide top and bottom by 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 24 divided by 2 is 12. And that would be completely simplified. That does not simplify further. Okay, now let me point something out. When you put your answer in, like back here when we did 3/8, when you put it in Delta Math, you're going to put in 3/8, and it'll automatically put it into that form. Okay, also back here, I want to point out something else. You could cancel and reduce before you multiply. So I'm going to show you something else. I'm going to show you another way this could be approached. We have 7/8 times 2/3. Okay, before I multiply, I notice that I have a 2 and an 8. 2 and 8 are both divisible by 2. 2 divided by 2 becomes a 1. 8 divided by 2 becomes a 4. Ooh, that's kind of hard to see. Let me use a different color marker. 2 divided by 2 becomes a 1. 8 divided by 2 becomes a 4. Now, when I multiply, I've got 7 times 1. 7 times 1 is 7. 4 times 3 is 12. Notice we ended up with the same answer, but I reduced first. Now, does it matter which way you do it? Absolutely not. You can do it either way. Okay, now we've got a division problem. If you remember, to divide two fractions, what we have to do is multiply by the second one. So I'm going to first, before I do anything, I'm going to make this 12/20 times, I take the reciprocal of this. The reciprocal is flipping the fraction. Okay, now I've got 12/20 times 5/4. I think in this case I will reduce first. I know 5 and 20 are both divisible by 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 4. I also notice that 12 and 4 are both divisible by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So when I multiply, I've got 3 times 1, which is 3, and 4 times 1, which is 4. So there's my final answer, 3/4. Okay, now again, we could have gotten that before. We could have gotten that by multiplying first and then reducing. So if you did that, you would have 12 over 20 times 5 over 4. 12 times 5 is 60. Always be sure and multiply it out if you need to. 5 times 2 is 10, carry the 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So 12 times 5 is 60. And then 20 times 4, 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 2 is 8. So 20 times 4 is 80. Okay, now first thing I see is that both of these are divisible by 10. So 60 divided by 10 is 6. 80 divided by 10 is 8. The next thing I see is that they're both divisible by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Notice we ended up with the same answer, 3/4. Okay. Now, I really want to encourage you to work this out by pencil. And don't use a calculator. I really want you to learn how to do fractions without a calculator. Next thing we're going to do is 3/8 divided by 8/3. Okay. So I'm going to take 3/8 times the reciprocal, which is 3/8. Now let's multiply across. 3 times 3 is 9. 8 times 8 is 64. Now 9 and 64 do not share a common factor, so that's completely reduced. So that'll just be 9 over 64. Okay, the next one. This is kind of cool because this is called a complex fraction. We have a fraction divided by a fraction. Okay, well, it looks really mathy like that. It looks complicated, but it's not. This is written vertically. I'm going to rewrite that horizontally. What this means is 1/2 divided by 3/8. 1/2 divided by 3/8. Now, since we're dividing by, we have to multiply by the reciprocal. So that's 1/2 times 8/3. Okay, now, the 2 and the 8, I notice can reduce. 2 divided by 2 becomes a 1. 8 divided by 2 becomes a 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3. And that's going to be our final answer, 4/3. Okay, so it's not that hard. When you see a division problem written in vertical form, first thing you want to do is change it into horizontal form. Just read it through in your head and then you'll know how to write it. 1/2 divided by 3/8. 1/2 divided by 3/8. Oh, okay. Then I need to multiply by the reciprocal and then you get that. Okay, next one. This indicates times because it's 4/9 in parentheses, 12/13 in parentheses. That indicates times. So we're going to go ahead and multiply, but first I'm going to see if anything is reducible. Well, I'm looking at the 4 and the 9, 4 and 13. Nothing's reducible there. The 12 and the 9, yes, 12 and 9 are both divisible by 3. So I'm going to divide 12 by 3, and I'm going to divide 9 by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So now we have 4 times 4, which is 16, over 3 times 13. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 1 is 3. So 16 over 39. Now let's see. Do they share a common factor? No, they don't. So that will be our final answer. Okay, let's just do a couple more because I really want to make sure you've got these. Okay, number 7. Let's suppose I have 4 over 20 times 3 over 7. Okay? All right. The reason I want to do this is because I want to point out that you can cancel as long as one number is on top and one number is on the bottom. it doesn't matter if they're one here and one here. It could be that it's within the same fraction that you can reduce. So like if we pretended the 3/7 wasn't even there, well, we would simplify the 4 over 20 because both top and bottom are divisible by 4. So 4 divided by 4 and 20 divided by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 20 divided by 4 is 5. Will anything else reduce? No. So let's multiply across. Let's multiply the numerators. 1 times 3 is 3. Multiply the denominators. 5 times 7 is 35. Now, does that cancel further or reduce further? No, it does not. So that is our final answer right there. Okay, let's do one more and then we're going to call it a day. Okay, number 8. Well, let's see. Today is going to be, I don't know that I want to use the day. Let's use, tell you what, let's use 42 over 60 times 15 over 3. Okay, I see a lot of things that reduce here. First of all, I see that 42 and 3 both share a factor of 3. Let me point something out here. To see if something is divisible by 3, like 42, what you can do is add the 2 digits. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 is divisible by 3. So we know that 42 is also divisible by 3. 42 divided by 3, it's one of those divisibility rules. Okay, 42 divided by 3. 3 into 4 goes once, subtract 3. We have 1 left over, bring down the 2. 3 into 12 goes 4 times. 3 times 4 is 12, subtract. We have 0 left over. So our result is 14. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 42 divided by 3 is 14. Okay, another thing I see is that I could reduce between 14 and 60 because they're both even. I could also reduce between 15 and 60 because 15 goes into 60 4 times. If you look at 15 times 4, that's 60. 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. So 15 does go into 60 4 times. Well, let's do that. Let's make the 15 a 1 and make the 60 a 4. Okay? Now, 14 times 1 is 14. 4 times 1 is 4. Now, I see that that is reducible because 14 and 4 are both divisible by 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my final result is 7 over 2. Okay, just real quick, if you want to remember, we would list the factors of 14. 1 and 14, 2 and 7, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6. Okay, so that's it. So the rainbow factorization method, these are the factors of 14. The factors of 4 are 1 and 4, 2 times 2, which, we really only have to write 2 once because... So now if I look at their common factor, they don't share 14, they don't share 7, but they do share 2. So I divide top and bottom by their common factor of 2, and I reduce it to 7/2. Okay, so that's it. That's just a quick review of multiplying fractions. So now just give that a shot on Delta Math and practice that. You guys are going to be rock stars at... Oops! Here, I tried to get clever and make that real fast. Okay, you guys are going to score a victory with that one. All right, thanks. Okay, bye.